Masturbation and its impact on the brain. Do you know the truth behind the feeling of satisfaction? We often hear that masturbation is normal, but few people know that this act has a significant impact on the brain. Each time you masturbate, your brain releases a hormone called dopamine, the happiness hormone, making you feel extremely pleasant and satisfied immediately. According to research from Princeton University, 2009, dopamine is the cause of relaxation, helping to reduce stress and providing a reward for the body. However, there's a secret that few talk about: overuse of dopamine can turn this pleasure into a dangerous addiction. According to the French Institute of Health and Medical Research, INSERM, when too much dopamine is released, your brain starts to demand more and more to achieve the same level of satisfaction as the first time. Like drug or alcohol addiction, overuse of masturbation can turn a normal habit into an uncontrollable addiction. The World Health Organization, WHO, has even recognized this and classified compulsive sexual behavior disorder, including masturbation addiction, as a psychological disorder in the ICD-11 system. The consequences of masturbation addiction: are you gradually losing control? Have you ever felt that the more you masturbate, the more you want to do it? This is not a coincidence. When you masturbate frequently, your brain gradually loses its ability to respond to dopamine, making you seek new ways to achieve the initial satisfaction. This can lead to alarming consequences: loss of control over behavior, even leading to unhealthy activities like promiscuous sex, using prostitution services, or addiction to pornography in search of satisfaction. Research from Cambridge University, 2014, has shown that those addicted to pornography and masturbation often lose control over their emotions, leading to feelings of shame, loneliness, and even depression. This not only affects the individual, but can also destroy their family and social relationships. What does Stoicism say about controlling desires? Stoicism, a classical philosophy from ancient Greece and Rome, offers profound insights into controlling desires and passions. Philosophers such as Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus have extensively discussed the importance of self-mastery, especially in dealing with physical desires. Seneca and mastering desires. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, always focused on self-control and avoiding being driven by impulsive emotions or desires. In his philosophy, true freedom does not come from fulfilling every desire, but from understanding and mastering them. His famous quote, "A free person is one who is not a slave to their desires," emphasizes that when people are controlled by their desires, they are essentially losing their freedom. Desires do not need to be completely eliminated, but we must learn how to manage them in a way that doesn't affect our decisions and behavior. For example, in the case of masturbation or any other act that brings temporary pleasure, Seneca would not encourage suppressing all such needs. Instead, he would advise learning to control the desire. This means recognizing when desires become excessive, leading to dependence and loss of control, and then taking measures to regulate or moderate them. By mastering desires, Seneca believed that people would achieve inner peace and no longer have to face emotional turmoil. When no longer driven by short-term desires, we can live a life of higher value, focusing on long-term goals and achieving tranquility. Marcus Aurelius and self-control. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, developed similar views to Seneca but applied them more practically through his leadership experiences. In his work Meditations, Marcus Aurelius often emphasized the importance of controlling emotions and desires, as he believed this was the way to achieve mental tranquility and peace in life. His quote, "What is not under your control, do not let it control you," perfectly illustrates this philosophy. Marcus Aurelius advised that people should be aware of what they can and cannot control in their lives. Emotions and desires often arise naturally, but the crucial point is that we have the ability to control how we respond to them. For example, regarding masturbation or other physical desires, Marcus would not deny the natural need but stressed the importance of not letting that need dominate one's behavior and thoughts. He also pointed out that pursuing short-term pleasures like masturbation can lead to loss of control and distance one from lasting happiness. Marcus Aurelius believed that to achieve long-term happiness and peace, one must reject meaningless temptations and focus on self-development, elevating spiritual values instead of chasing fleeting pleasures. In doing so, people would not only attain inner peace but also live a more meaningful life. Epictetus and true freedom. Epictetus, although born a slave, became an influential philosopher, and his philosophy heavily focused on the concept of inner freedom. For Epictetus, freedom was not about physical or social status, but about the ability to control one's mind and emotions, not letting them be dominated by external factors. His saying, "Our happiness depends on ourselves, not on external things," clearly expresses the idea that all suffering or joy in life stems from how we perceive and react to it, not from the events themselves. In the context of masturbation, or any act that brings temporary pleasure, Epictetus would point out that desire is an external factor that we can control if we truly understand ourselves. When someone becomes a slave to their desires, they can never achieve true freedom because they are always seeking to satisfy those desires, leading to loss of control. Epictetus advised practicing self-control and self-awareness so that one would not be drawn into actions that bring only temporary pleasure. For him, people need to live by higher values, and true freedom comes from mastering one's desires rather than letting them control one's life. Conclusion on Stoicism and desires. These three Stoic philosophers laid out fundamental principles in controlling desires and emotions, particularly those related to physical pleasure. Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus all believed that inner freedom and true happiness could only be achieved when people did not let short-term desires dictate their lives. Stoicism does not completely reject natural desires like masturbation, but encourages people to understand their nature and not let them become the main force driving their behavior. By mastering desires, we can find inner peace and achieve true freedom, living a meaningful and valuable life.